Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn. So tonight's event, we are our first into the program for bring-in for SAI Systematic Avodah Initiative for sefira transformation, which means that every day there's a bit of reading from a book called Counting the Omer, and it is by Rabbi Simon Jacobson, and it's coming to the front, done. You get to do 1 page of reading every day. As I've shown everybody, it is short, well, that's the middle one, that one. Short and sweet and to the point, and it gives you the incredible ability to really live with the Chassidus of the Omer of the day, which is exactly the flavor of living Chassidus. Our goal is to make Chassidus really practical and relevant and livable. And tonight we have the great schus of having, I have to give my personal introduction before I give the official introduction. We met at an amazing event of women leaders in Crown Heights. And by then we had already tried to connect, and she just saved the day. Literally gave me a ride home along with everybody, a nice group of people. And then a Living Chassidus member messaged, and she told me that she was really not feeling well. And she asked me, or she mentioned if somebody could deliver soup. So for anyone who doesn't yet know, Living Chassidus has a soup gemach, that if you are not feeling well, Living Chassidus will come and deliver soup to you, chicken soup. And it was about 11 o'clock. And I thought, she's doing her rounds, dropping everyone off, maybe on her way up, because I know where she lives. She has to go drive up Kingston. She might be able to just give me a lift all the way up Kingston because it was raining or about to rain. It was raining by then. So I said, this is pretty crazy, but hey, Sheli, are you by any chance driving by up Kingston? And she says, well, actually, I'm already home, but I can't find parking anywhere. And I realized that it must be because there's a mitzvah to be had, a mitzvah to be done. And she came, picked me up, drove me to deliver the soup, and then came back to pick me up and drove me home. So I think that in of itself shows that Sheli is an incredible mensch. And we have the great schos of having her here. And yes, there you go. And now the official one, okay? So the Director of Education Initiatives, Sheli grew up in Israel, moved to the United States in 2001, and currently lives in New York. She has a BA in psychology and experience in business and directive advising early childhood preschool centers. She is passionate about and involved in educating children and women in the light of Chassidus. Sheli is proud to join the Meaningful Life Center team and help promote educational initiatives towards a meaningful life. So we are so lucky to have her. And we also are so lucky to have tonight's event sponsored by the Chabad Learning Foundation in honor of the Rebbe's Chinuch directives. So thank you very much. And I'm so excited for this talk. Okay, pass the baton.
What do I do? I put this on me like this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's needed very much.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I'm able to. Okay, everyone. How are you? So as I was introduced, I'm Sheli Atara Man, and I actually work for the wonderful man who wrote this book. I'm the Education Initiative Director in the Meaningful Life Center, and it's an amazing place. And this is an amazing book, and it really helps you understand the sefiras. And this year, hi everyone. So we just started, you didn't miss anything. So basically, it's really the first time that I really look into the sefiras as much as I did this year. Last year, I was fully counting them, but I can't say that I truly understand the meaning. And this year, when I was like learning through Pesach and reading, and I understood really the beauty of the opportunity that Hashem gave us. And it's not just an opportunity, it's really a must. So we can align ourselves with Hashem and we can connect to him better. I grew up in Israel, and I went through a lot of changes when I first came to America. And a lot of the reasons why I went through all these changes and I made a lot of mistakes. And I don't know today if I can call them mistakes or just was my path. But along the way, I didn't truly have an understanding of what Hashem wants for me or how to connect to Hashem. And this is one of the reasons that looking at the spheres today and counting the Omer is so special, because it really helps us connect and understand. So basically, when we were in Egypt, and this is a Farbrengen, so if anybody wants to say anything at any time, please feel free to ask me questions and to just interfere. It's completely fine. And I was reading about Hashem taking us out of Egypt, and he came and took us out. There's no in between. We were in very, very, very deep tuma, and he had to just pull us out. But then he pulled us out physically, but on the emotional level, we still had to go through some process because we were not there and connecting with him. And I was trying to look for a story that's going to really make that very clear. And I found a sikha from the Rebbe from 1973, and it's a very beautiful book of sikhas where the Rebbe brings a lot of beautiful stories. And he brought an interesting story about this rabbi who was very, very spiritual and very connected to Hashem. His name, I think, was Yissa Saba or Rabbi Saba, something like in that form. And he said that he came into his house, into the living room, and he see the dinner was prepared for him. And he didn't eat. He first davened to Hashem that he should have food. Now the Rebbe's asking, why is he davening? The food is right in front of him. So the Rebbe explains that Hashem creates the world every minute, every second, all the time. So because Rabbi Yissa Saba was so spiritual and so connected to Hashem, he understood that just because something is physically there, if you're not there on the emotional level, on the spiritual level, you can't really use it properly. So he first davened to Hashem to be able to have the food on the spiritual level, and then he could have it on the physical level. And if I had to explain what the counting of the Omer is, so this is what it is. It's bringing us to be able to connect to Hashem on a spiritual level and not just physically. And it's beautiful because it's also everything that a Jewish person goes through, and everything in the Torah is really basically for us to also learn on how to live our lives. So the spheres are taking us like from the lowest to the highest, one by one, week by week, day by day. And it's showing us that everything is close to us. Just like it says in the Tanya, it's close to you. Hashem is not asking us for something difficult that we can't do. And he's also giving us the opportunity to go through a process. And each and every one of us is able to connect to that and to do the avoda in the way that they need to do it. And this week I felt like was very, very special because this week is about Gevura. And in Hebrew, there's a very beautiful sentence that says, "Ezeu hagibor haikovesh et yitzro." So basically, Gevura is about, from the milah gvura, from the word gvura, which is being brave, basically. And what does it mean to be brave? What's for me being brave, for somebody else might not be brave. Maybe something is easy for me and hard for someone else. So the beauty of it is that we also, each one of us has a different type of work that they need to do according to their level. And I thought that was very, very, very beautiful. I also thought of a story from earlier in my life of this whole idea of going through a process. So as I was becoming religious, I'm a Balat Tshuva, and there was a time in my life where I was not religious. And there's two stories that I could emphasize to show how important it is to really go through a process, that things shouldn't just, sometimes you have things in front of you, but if you don't have the tools to use them, then you can't possibly use them in the right way. So as I was becoming religious and I was keeping Shabbos, I had a friend that I met in Crown Heights, and she's Israeli, she's very sweet. And she started to become religious also. She started to keep Shabbos, and she was in this very big high of Yiddishkeit and wow, this is beautiful. And then she said, a friend invited me for Shabbos, come with me to her house. We'll make her more religious. We're going to help her. We're going to mechazik her. I said, look, I learned one thing. You can never trust yourself 100%. I would not go to somebody who doesn't keep Shabbos to mechazek them Shabbos when I'm not myself 100% strong in it. And she said, no, come on, it's good. I said, I'm not moving anywhere on Shabbos. I'm staying in Crown Heights. And she ended up going. And after Shabbos, she calls me. She said, don't ask. I had a horrible experience. I said, what happened? She said, well, the food wasn't warm. She didn't leave lights on, so it was dark. Then she left the house. It was really dark. There was nothing for me to do. She said, the whole Shabbos, I had a horrifying Shabbos. I didn't want to tell her I told you so, but the point is that you have to go through a process. And you can't just assume because you went through a process, somebody else will be in that same level, or you can have them skip all these levels and understand your process just because you're enthusiastic about it. So I felt like that was one way to explain how important the process is. I also, many years ago, about 20 years ago, opened a coffee shop. And it was a kosher coffee shop. Don't ask me how I did it. I spent a lot of money. I got a lot of loans. I was very, very motivated. And there you go, this beautiful coffee shop. And I'm not tznius. I'm wearing pants. But I was just like I am today. I would talk to people. I would mechazik them. I would buy them a sitter. But I wasn't tznius. I didn't understand the idea of tznius and how important it is and how much it affects our neshama. I thought, okay, I daven to Hashem. I'll teach someone else to daven to Hashem, and it's enough. I don't need to be tznius. And I was keeping Shabbos, and I was doing a lot of things. And we had like lectures in the coffee shop, and we had a lot of beautiful things happening. And the food was kosher and very strictly kosher, and everything was okay. But I realized today, how can you convince someone to do something when you yourself don't understand what it means to fully do it? I can't talk to somebody about wearing, tznius clothes because at that point I was not wearing tznius clothes, and they don't understand that part of this closeness to Hashem is being in bittul, is doing things that might not make sense to you, but this is how Hashem wants it. And this is what makes you royal. And this is what makes you earn that relationship with Hashem. So Hashem still loves you when you don't do what he wants, just like a father and a mother would still love you. But you can't really grasp and understand that connection until you fully do everything. And when you bring yourself to a level where you're completely bata, where you're doing something where like, this is really hard for me, but you're doing it, and you realize, looking back, and only today I could say this, because today when I do most of the things, and I can't say I do everything because everyone has something they need to strengthen themselves. This is why we count every single year, because every single year we might regress on certain things or we might grow, and then we know that we need to work a little bit harder, and then our connection with Hashem becomes a little bit stronger. And connecting to Hashem is also one of the things I learned, is when we were closing the coffee shop, and it was very horrifying for me. I spent a lot of money, a lot of energy. It was a beautiful place. And I'm standing there on the last day. They're about to close the door. The marshal is coming, closing the door. The canopy is down. The pictures are down. And I'm holding my sitter. And I'm like, Hashem is going to save me. And my business partner is like, Sheli, we are closing the coffee shop. I'm like, no, you'll see, I'm praying, Hashem will save me. He did save me, but he didn't save me the way I wanted to be saved. He saved me the way he knew I needed to be saved. And if he didn't save me that way, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I would be in that coffee shop trying to figure out how I'm going to pay the rent. And that was the difference of what I wanted to what Hashem saw for me. He saw me doing bigger things, greater things, helping children, helping women, helping seniors. I couldn't see it. All I saw was Hashem is going to save me. And that's all I understood, is that if you do good, you get good. I didn't understand that goodness can come in many different forms. It can come when Hashem needs you to get it, when he knows that you'll be a vessel to receive it. And I really went through a few years of really, really hard years because I didn't understand that I need to go through that process of connecting to Hashem. And I couldn't understand why I was going through all these things until one day I realized that if Hashem wanted my life to be in any other way, he would have brought my life to be that any other way. But he didn't. And it took me many, many years to understand that I do believe in Hashem, that I do believe in all these stories, that he did take us out of Egypt, and that all these beautiful stories in the Torah happened. But he wanted something from me. And he wanted me to get there with the only tools I had, with me, myself, and I. No money, no prestige, nothing. I had to get there on my own. And it was really, really hard. I cried. I was angry. I stopped keeping Shabbos. Nothing helped. Until one day I said, you know what, Hashem, I'll make a deal with you. I'm going to do it your way. I did it my way. I'm not happy. Maybe I'll be happy your way. I'm going to do it your way, but I'll have a deal with you. Never leave me alone on Shabbos. If I'm ever going to be alone on Shabbos, I'm going to break. And that's what I did. I started taking everything upon myself. And little by little, I started to feel better. I didn't feel alone anymore. I started going out for meals on Shabbos. I was living in Queens. I was not living in Crown Heights. I was working in Brooklyn, and I was coming to Crown Heights. And I did have a Rebbitzin here that is my friend and helped me a lot, Nechama Dina Vigzer from Merkaz Dovrei Ivrit, beautiful people. And yeah, really amazing. They have this beautiful Chabad house. Not everybody knows about it. And they do so much shluchos. It's just beautiful. And she used to come to my coffee shop once a week to do a lecture. And this is how I initially got introduced to Chabad, through the lecture. So I thought it was boring at that time. And I was cleaning the coffee machine. I was like, oh my God, when she's going to finish, but eventually it made sense to me. But at that time I had no tools. I didn't work on myself. I wasn't battled to anything. So I just wanted to get what was easy for me, and what wasn't easy and what I couldn't understand meant nothing to me. So I couldn't fully connect to Hashem, because the minute one thing went wrong, the minute I got into debt and I closed the doors of the coffee shop, I stopped believing in Hashem because I didn't understand his ways. Now, it was very interesting because with this thing that I said to Hashem, I'm going to never leave me alone on Shabbos. It was very, very interesting that one day, I had a really hard day at work, and it was like maybe 4 years into me being religious, and I was living in Queens, and I never stayed home on Shabbos. I always came to Nechama Dina, or I was like by a friend's house. I try not to stay home on Shabbos so I don't get bored and it's not going to get hard for me. And one day I was just tired. I started this new job. I was very exhausted. I'm like, that's it. I want to be home. I want to have quiet. That's it. I'm going to go home. I'm not going to hear Kiddush. I'm just going to sleep. And I went home, and I was about to go to sleep. That's it. I lay down on the sofa. I'm like, I'm going to sleep. All of a sudden, and my house, I always had light on. On Friday morning, when I would leave the house, I would leave light on. And when I come Motzei Shabbos, it was still on. So nobody knew I'm home. I'm not home. It wasn't really clear. But my neighbors knew I'm never home. All of a sudden, my window is like, it's like loud noise. Sheli, Sheli, my neighbor Mayor is like banging on the door, banging on the window. I'm sorry. And I get up, I'm like, Mayor, how did you know I'm here? He's like, I don't know. I was in shul and I thought about you, and I just decided to come and tell you to come for Shabbos meal. And I'm like, what? Like, how did you know I'm home? He couldn't figure out why he felt to just knock on my window. But that was really the only Shabbos that I was about to skip Kiddush and just go to sleep. And Hashem said, no, I have a deal with you and I'm keeping it. And that made me realize that Hashem really does listen to us. When you do an ishtadlut, when you are willing to take the process, and when you're willing to walk in that path, Hashem comes and helps you. And it's beautiful. The Rebbe always says, there's a few letters that the Rebbe says, open chod shel machat, like machat is something so tiny, it's like a needle. If you open the door just like a little bit like a needle, I'll help you. I'll give you everything, but you have to show, like Nachshon ben Aminadav, when he went into the water, and the water opened, you have to show that you believe that Hashem will come and save you, and not in your terms. You have to understand that it might not be in your terms. It might be in different terms. And if you don't take that chance, you don't know what opportunities are going to open up for you. It's normal to have fear. Michal Oshman, we're connected with her through the Meaningful Life Center. And she said something very beautiful when she came to work in Facebook. She said, the minute you come in, there's a beautiful sentence, and it just says, what would you do if you weren't afraid? She named her book that way, but she said, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And this is what God is saying. Trust me. Don't be afraid. Even if you fall, I will pick you up. And I found in my life that's very powerful. Today, I'm not scared to fall. Things don't go my way. It's hard. And it's okay. And it could be that you'll do a mitzvah and something horrible will happen to you. But you have to understand that this is Hashem connecting with you. He wants something from you. It's just like a dog, right? Somebody throws something, the dog barks at the thing. He doesn't bark at who is really throwing the thing. That we get upset, something happens to us, we get mad at the person, but we don't realize that that person was sent to us, to refine ourselves, to bring a better version of ourselves. And this is something that really, really, really helped me become the person I am today. So when I have struggles, I don't fear them as much because I know Hashem is there. He's trying to show me something. And I think the hardest thing for me was what happened to me eventually. There's a very short story I'll tell you, that when one of the Shabbases that I came to the Chabad, I was devastated. I went into another business. It was a candy shop. And I closed it up also. I was partners with someone and I closed it up, and it was very, very difficult. And I felt like a failure. It's like a second business. I'm closing it up. What does Hashem want from me? Now, I never came to America to be a businesswoman. I came to learn sports medicine. So I didn't learn sports medicine. I got my degree in psychology. I closed 2 businesses, and I don't even know where I'm going. And at that time, I started working as an education director in a preschool. I was like the operational director of a preschool, and I have no idea what a preschool requires. I was not even Chabad yet, completely Chabad. It was crazy. I was like, what do you want from me? Like, you brought me to work in Crown Heights in the middle of like the most religious place in the world to educate. Like, how can I educate teachers? I wasn't even a teacher. I was just a director. How can I direct? I don't know how to direct. So it was my first week at the job, and it was Friday, and it was late, and I'm a workaholic, so I always stay until like a minute before the doors are supposed to close. And it's like late. I'm like, I'm not going to make it back to Queens. And I call Nechama, and she's like, oh, come to us for Shabbos. So I'm like, oh, yes, I'm stuck in Crown Heights for Shabbos. And I don't have any clothes. I don't have anything with me. But whatever. I said, okay, let me go. I went. It was really beautiful. I think it was the first time in many, many years that I felt like I'm home. I cried so much because bear in mind, I was here alone. I came with $500. I struggled throughout all the years here. It was really, really hard. I failed from one thing to another. After the coffee shop, I got into $450,000 debt on my name. I couldn't do a thing on my name, nothing. I had new credit, and it was ruined before I even had it. So it was really hard. I was challenged in many, many ways. And I was sitting after the Shabbos meal, and Nechama comes to me and she says, Sheli, would you like to read? I know you like to read. I said, yeah. She brought a few magazines. I opened this magazine and it says, the challah. Like, okay, I'm going to read this. It looks like a beautiful article. And I read the article and I cried. The whole page was water. Like, I couldn't stop crying. It was so beautiful. It was a very profound message in that challah article. And it made me understand what Hashem really wants from us. And I think that this was the day that really, from then on, my life tremendously changed. Not just changed, like I changed my perception about the way I'm doing things. It gave me a reason to do things. And in the article, they talk about this lady. She was when she was young, they were from a family that were Balei Tshuva, and they were going to a Chabad family every Shabbos. And the first time they were there, she explains how the Shabbos meal went, and she says that something happened to her in connection to that challah. And she explains that right after they did everything, they're sitting down and they washed their hands, and she looks at the challah and she says, The minute I tasted the challah, I couldn't stop eating it. It was so embarrassing. I ate a piece after piece after piece after piece. My parents were looking at me. My mom was kicking me. My father was pinching me. And the Rebbitzin is like, maybe we'd like this salad. Maybe like this. She's like, I couldn't care less. All I wanted was that challah. And then she said, we're about to go home. And right before we're going home, she says, do you have a challah that I could take home? And she's like, my mom almost fell on the floor. The Rebbitzin was it was so sweet. She said, it was such a Chabad way. She said, the Rebbitzin was like, I saw that you've connected to the challah and I wanted to give it to you. And I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. She was like so sweet about it. And she said, I took my challah in my bag and I'm walking. I'm so happy. My parents are screaming and yelling the whole way home. And I'm like dreaming about my challah. And she said, I decided that minute that if I ever become religious, I want to make challah like this Rebbitzin. And then she says, lo and behold, I went to seminary. And this was a girl that really was against Yiddishkeit. She wasn't like nice about it. She said, I was so against it. My parents were like so loving and wanted. And I was like, She wasn't into it. She was very against it. She really had a lot of questions. But she said that changed in time. And it started with that challah. And she said that eventually when she got married, they opened a Chabad house, she and her husband, and she started this Shabbos. She said every time she took upon herself something, and she started a Mesibat Shabbat for children, and she would give a challah to one child every Shabbos. So she says one day, these two girls come in, she lights Shabbos candles with them, she gives them this huge big challah, and they leave, and that's done. And then 3 weeks later, somebody comes to her house, she knocks on her door, she's like, hi, I'm looking for Miri. She's like, I'm Miri. She's like, I'm Shosh. Can I come and talk to you? She said, of course. She comes in and she says, look, I'm not a religious woman, but I grew up in a, modern home. My father used to do Kiddush. We used to have challah. I knew what Shabbos is. I knew what holidays are. We were very respectful to the tradition. And it was very important for me that my girls grow up that way as well. And she said, my husband is a kibbutznik, and everyone knows that kibbutznikim are not really religious. They don't care so much about that. It's something about in the kibbutz that is very Zionist, and they're not like very observant. So he never wanted to do Kiddush. He never wanted to do anything. She said, 20 years, I'm begging him, please do Kiddush. I want my daughters to see. I want to have that tradition at home. Please, it's my father's Kiddush cup. She said it was my father's yortzeit. I went to his gravesite. I davened. I said, look, please make a change in my life. I'll take upon myself to daven every day. And she said, I knew it's not really going to help. I went home. I was crying. I was very depressed. She said, it was right before Shabbos. I took a quick shower and I took my daughters for a walk. And then I saw a lot of kids by your house. And I asked them, what is this? And they said, this is Miri's Mesibat Shabbat. And I pushed my girls. I'm like, yeah, go in. And she said, my girls came out with the challah. And then we went home. And my girls put the challah on the table. And she said, as I'm walking away, my husband comes through and he sees the challah. He's like, whoa, what a beautiful challah. Bring your father's Kiddush cup. I'm doing Kiddush. She's like, I was about to faint. 20 years, I'm begging him. He sees a challah. He wants to do Kiddush. What did this challah do to him that I couldn't say in 20 years? She was shocked. And when I read that, I couldn't stop crying because I understood. I just understood that sometimes when you wish something for someone, you can change their life. When you give someone something that you care about, you can change their life. You can save people through your actions. And through that understanding, I had a new mission in life. I wanted to help people. I understood that I don't have to talk. I don't have to convince anybody of anything. All I have to do is take action. Just like the Rebbe taught us. You know Aleph, teach Aleph. Don't talk, do. Be the example you want others to be. And I realized that through giving challah, this woman changed this man. And I said, you know what? So in the beginning, I took it very literal. We're starting a challah project. I went home. I bought like tons of bowls. My house became the center for challah making. And every Thursday, I used to get girls and we used to make challah. And it was beautiful, really, really beautiful. I have thousands of pictures of our challah project until 2 a.m, baking, making challah. It was hard like a rock the first week. The second week, it got better. Like we really got better at it as a group. It was very beautiful. And then we started, okay, now let's distribute them. So I made this label. It was like 15 years ago. I made like this stamp. We bought white bags. We stamped it. I called it Project Challah Sheli because my name is Sheli. And because in Hebrew, it means Project Challah Sheli, my challah project. And it wasn't meant to be my challah project. It's like if you make the challah, it becomes your project. And what you do with it is your project. And we started to give out challahs in the neighborhood. And later on, I took the challah project to the Ohel and I started to bring challahs, like a ready 5-pound dough. And I would say, who didn't do a frashat challah? Who wants to learn how to do a frashat challah? And I taught many women to do a frashat challah through that. And I have many beautiful stories, but like it's a lot of stories. So I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to, it's not just about me. It's really about the process that I learned through doing all these things. And most of all, through failing. Every failure taught me something. Every time, and I still fail. I just, I let myself fail. And I learn from that failure and I become stronger from it. And it's okay. Because this is, they say that about business, but like, most of the people that are really, really successful in business, they filed bankruptcy even more than one time, and they closed the business more than 10 times. But eventually you become successful in something. I also realized that you have to partner with Hashem. When I didn't partner with Hashem and my business was just about, even if it was just about serving, and even if my intention was good, but I myself was not connected to Hashem, it didn't work. Because even though I thought I was connected and I wasn't fully connected, you can't truly take out the best of yourself until you truly connect. In order to truly connect, you have to do this for 50 days. And this is why Hashem is giving us this opportunity, so we can perfect every aspect of ourselves. And it also shows how complicated we are, that the neshama is such a powerful thing. And it's more than our physical being. And without us taking care of our neshama and really attending to what it needs and what we can really get out of it, we can't really fully live properly. And this is really this is the biggest lessons I've learned. I was looking at today's sefira, and it was Gvura Shebahod. And it made me also realize that the word hod is coming from hodaya. And in order to thank someone, you have to be a little bit batal. You have to have humility. You recognize that it's not you. You recognize that it's somebody else. You recognize that it's Hashem that's giving you. And you're brave enough to say, yes, Hashem, thank you. And only when you're able to do that, you're really able to accomplish things. So this past September, I left my job, and I left a job that I loved. I tremendously loved my job. I work with children for over 10 years, and I've done a lot of different things in early childhood education. And from the days where I didn't know what I was doing to the day that I know so much more, I'm so grateful to Hashem, and I'm so grateful to the Rebbe, because I became tremendously educated through this process. And I became a tool that you could actually use to help children and people and women and adults. And I realized that a Jewish person, wherever you go, you're a teacher. Whatever it is you know, you must teach to someone else. And when you're willing and ready to do that, then Hashem brings opportunity your way. Now, I didn't realize that through the process of deciding that I want to help people, Hashem will one day say, I don't want you in just one place. I don't want you just here. I want you to do other things too. And you have to be prepared for that, because that means that sometimes you have to leave something that you love because you've created all you can for that. And now you have to move on and go where I need you, because I need you to do other things to help more people. And when I left my job, I recognized that this is what Hashem wants me to do, that I need to do more. And I didn't want to do it. and it was hard, and I cried a lot, and I had many days that it was hard for me. But knowing that this is what Hashem wants for me, and how did I know that? Because every day new opportunities came about, and I knew that Hashem was showing me, look, you wanted to serve me, I'm giving you things to serve me with. And when you do that, you really accomplish what you came to accomplish in this world. And I know for myself, when I'm too comfortable, something is wrong. Something has to be changed. Because when you're too comfortable, you're not creating new things. You're not taking out of yourself what you need to do. You're not counting the Omer again. And this is why we count the Omer every single year. Because every single year we become comfortable, and now we have to try to reach higher. And that's really, thinking about the Omer and this whole process got me to think about all these things and all these stories. I'm gonna mention one more thing that the Rebbe talks about in Parashat Achrei, when he talks about Nadav and Avihu and what happened to them. And he brought up a few points. So first of all, he mentioned something that they also did not make an effort to live a regular life. They didn't make an effort to build a family. They didn't make an effort to go through the everyday things that you need to go through in order to connect to Hashem. And they just went into Kodesh HaKodeshim. They didn't even stay in the area of Oel Moed, where you're supposed to stay, where Moshe and Aaron stayed. They went straight into Kodesh HaKodeshim. They wanted to skip everything and just connect to Hashem. But when you do that and you don't have the tools to deal with Hashem's greatness, and you don't have the tools to be able to use Hashem's kindness, then you can't do anything with it. And their neshama left their body because it wasn't capable of handling what was in front of them. So if you're going to try to skip the process, you're going to fail. You're going to fall. You're going to end up owing $450,000 to New York State. And this is really what happened to me. And through falling, I realized how do you get up? You connect to Hashem again. And he says, take it slowly. It's close to you. You could do this, And being brave is recognizing, Gvura is understanding that I could go wrong, but I have the ability to get up again. And I'm sure that each one of you has stories that you can share, or something, or a message that you also learned it through your own life and through your own experiences. Does anybody want to share? There's no test. Come on, ladies. Nobody wants to share?
Failure is hard.
Do you have something that you failed at, but you realized how good it was that you failed in it?
Almost.
Come on, share with us.
Almost at the other half, the other part. Almost there.
I have something that I learned that there was a man that was 70, and he go to with his feeling to check his feeling, and the place that they checked, they said the feeling wasn't good at all. And 70 years he made it feeling that was not good. It was stressful. So he said he can cry and can beat on himself and he can be very bitter. But he said no. Baruch Hashem, that now I know from now for later,
going forward,
I know that that I will make the right, because I can all my life can do it without feeling, and now I know that's the mistake. So now I can be like good. So it doesn't fall down and beat himself and be better. It just thank Hashem
that he was able,
that the problem, and now I can fix it.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the idea that sometimes we fell down. We always down, up, and we have to learn from the mistake and going better, and doing much better from the mistake that we have.
This is actually a good example of Hod Shebagvura, because when you think about it, he's thanking Hashem for making him realize that he was wrong until now, and he's brave enough to admit it. And instead of thinking on how he's a failure, he's thinking, what can I do to move forward? Beautiful. That's very good. Anybody else wants to share?
I'm sort of figuring out like the lesson I learned from it, but on Pesach, I was cooking something for my family and I turned off the fire after I was done. My mother's like, oh no, now we only have one burner or whatever. I was like, you know, either I can sit here, and I've done this my whole life, sit here and like beat myself up for the next 2 days about how I turned off the fire on Yom Tov and now we only have one fire, and like, and also I versed Shabbos and Yom Tov, whatever. Or I can just be like, it was a mistake, and like, we're all gonna be okay, and Hashem doesn't want me to be miserable about it. So I chose the second option, and we all had good food. We were okay.
You see?
Next time I was more careful.
It's beautiful. So you know what? Sometimes I notice that things can happen. It's like a precaution, so something worse won't happen. So sometimes you make a little mistake, let's just say, or something just happens, and it keeps you aware of it. So in a different situation that maybe you would have like 50 guests, it wouldn't happen. But if it didn't happen to you before, and you wouldn't have that like awareness of it, it might happen when it's the worst time for it to happen. So sometimes Hashem gives us like, it's okay. You made a mistake now. It's okay. It's not going to affect you so much, but you'll be so careful so it won't happen when it could have really happened. And this is how Hashem gives you. So the way to think about it is, I merited that Hashem gave me a warning. And that's a different way of looking at it. And I also learned that from my own, from my own things, my own failures, and this is something that you need to look at. Hashem never hurts us. So no matter what happens, it's always for our benefit. And now when something doesn't go my way, I get a ticket, the car gets hit, I can't find where I'm supposed to be. Today, my ear infected, I wasn't feeling well, I couldn't talk. Like, Hashem has a reason. Am I going to tell the creator of the world what to do or how to do it? I'm his servant. We're here to serve Hashem. Wherever he wants us to be or whatever he wants to happen to us, it's only to get the best version of ourselves out of ourselves so we can serve him better. And when you look at it that way, you'll always find the reason. And it might not come right away. Sometimes it's a day later. And let me give you an example. Me and my friend Chaya, we have this Zoom class. And there was a little misunderstanding. The Zoom class is tonight. And I usually ask the questions and I share the video. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And the first thing my friend Chaya is asking me is like, Sheli, why did this happen? I said, I don't know. We will take a step back and we will realize a few days later. I said, maybe it's to empower you, to show you that you don't even need me. Maybe it's to empower both of us, to appreciate that I need you, you need me. It could be that Hashem had a different reason. Maybe some of the ladies here will come to our class too sometimes. Or maybe people will look at the recording or whatever it is. Hashem never hurts us. If something happened, it was meant to happen that way. And who are we to, sometimes, and I always say, take 10 steps back and look at the full picture. When you try to take a picture and you put it on 2.5 and then you put it on 1 or on 0.5 and you see a big, and I say, always, life is this way. Don't zoom in. When something doesn't go your way, zoom out. Go out, look at it as an observer, and you'll see a completely different picture.
It's very hard to do that in the moment.
Yes. And it's something that you have to work through. And again, I 10 years ago, I was like, what? Again, you did this to me. I can't believe this. How many times? But today I see that only goodness came to my life from this. Every time I failed in something, every time something happened, I learned a bunch of new things. I became a better version of myself. So it's for sure to help us. How is it going to help? It's things that happen to us. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to be easy. It might be very hard. It's challenging, but it makes you a better version of yourself, no matter how you look at it. Many years ago, we had to close a daycare. And it was so beautiful. We had 160 kids there. I was the director there. It was my first job. I loved that job. It was the best job I've ever had. And I ended up being the last one in the building after we took out all the furniture, and I had to take the Rebbe's picture off the wall. It's very painful. I'm walking out of the building with the Rebbe's picture in my hand. And I'm like, now what? And lo and behold, a few months later, I started working in downtown Brooklyn, and I did amazing things. And for 6 years, I learned how to run a preschool in a shlichus area. And what are the different needs of children who are living, not in religious communities versus what is needed in religious communities. And it made me better at what I do. And today I have a company that helps early childhood education because I'm capable of understanding both of the needs. So imagine I would just be stuck in that daycare in Brooklyn and in Crown Heights. I would not have that knowledge. So in the beginning, I could ask, why did I have to close this place? Why did I have to take off the picture of the Rebbe? The Rebbe said, don't worry, you're walking out, I'm walking with you. And we're going. Where are you going? You don't know, but you're going. He was told, Avram, Hashem told Avram, Lech Lecha, where are you going? Just go, don't worry, trust me. And it's hard. I guarantee you that it's hard. But the reward is so great. It really is great. To see yourself living the vision that Hashem has for you, the creator of the world has a better vision for you. To live that vision, that's success. Not your own vision. My vision for myself was that coffee shop, those 4 walls, that's it. Hashem had a much bigger vision. Do you know how many businesses and doors I've closed and opened? And God knows how many more. Because Hashem has a bigger vision for us. And every time you show him that you're willing to do more, your vision, the vision that he has for you gets bigger and bigger because you proved yourself. So it's a hard path, but it's a very rewarding one. And you have to keep on reminding yourself that Hashem loves us. So he never hurts us. He only wants to see us do better for ourselves.
I share that's how Living Chassidus came about.
Yeah, for sure.
When we first got married, we were set on shlichus. We wanted to go. We were set. That was it. It was like a one-way street. And every time there was a contract and a thing. No,
come sit here. No, bring the chair. Come sit next to me. We're for bringing.
With that introduction.
It's a team.
With every single time we were headed to Australia, we were headed to Melbourne. We had a Chabad house. We were going there and working under shluchim. And then right before we moved, donor had issues with his business. Everything fell apart. Then a few years later, it was a campus. And then last minute, everything fell apart. And every time it was so frustrating. What's going on? Meanwhile, during this time, I had started a weekly shir. And I told my friends from seminary, I said, we have to help each other. We have to stick together. We have to be here for each other. And we have to live with Chassidus. It can't just be and stay in the books and stay in seminary. Yes, exactly. It can't just stay in seminary. It needs to come and now in our jobs, with our parents, every step of the way, when roommates, bosses, that's where Chassidus that's where it needs to be lived. And so the Rebbe gave me the clarity. And at one point I was very, very down, and I went to the idol and I wrote to the Rebbe. I said, we want to go on your shlichus. Send us, put us to work. And I walked out, and again, I still kick myself for not having written down like the show or the number, the code of the gem video that was playing in that video room. But when I walked out, it said something along the lines of, your shlichus is exactly where you are. And that's when it hit us that our shlichus is here. And we found our shlichus, and it was a lot of closed doors, a lot of no's, a lot of disappointments that led us to really see the gem of what is here in Crown Heights. So I can relate.
Yeah.
How many years ago? The video was about 7 years ago. Living Chassidus had already been like officially started. So now we're going into our 10th year.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
It takes a lot of bravery, a lot of gvura to do what Hashem wants for you and not what you want for yourself. And it's a very, very hard thing. I also recently came back to Crown Heights, and I do a Shabbos class in the morning for kids on Shabbos morning. And I'm like, what would kids in Crown Heights need me for? And it's not true. There's a form of shlichus everywhere. And if Hashem thought that this is what he wants from you, then you have to find and dig. You have to dig and see what is asked of you. And it's amazing the things that you can find. And only when you really, really, look deep inside, you find really amazing things, real gems. And it's a real big message. It's not, don't go tomorrow about your day. Stop and think and open this book. And every single page has, are you doing this in your life? Are you, take the time, write, take a pen and write exactly. And
We even
write.
provide you a journal and a pen.
It's so important. Because you know what? We live in the world where we hear things, we see tons of text messages, we skip on a lot of things because this is the only way our mind is able to grasp this amount of information. But now Hashem says, stop, because I want to give you the Torah. And I want to give it to you every year. We're getting the Torah over and over again. And the more you work on yourself, the more you'll be able to use the Torah, the more you'll be able to use the Chassidus learning that you're learning. And the rabbi that I mentioned his name, the Rebbe asked, why did he need to pray for the spiritual and we don't need to pray? Because he didn't even have a physical existence. He was in such a high level that all he needed was the spiritual existence of things. We are not even, close to that level, but you could bring yourself to a higher level. It's not far-fetched. It's really there. And this is what we really, now is the time for all of us Jewish people to stop and to really, really understand the Omer and really count it day by day, and not just by saying it, by spiritually working on ourselves. And the only way to do it is through, why do we have to eat so we can make brachas? Why do we have to, everything that we're doing, that we can't be nadav and avi, we can't skip. We have to physically look at it. We have to ask ourselves, what am I doing? How can I utilize this tomorrow? Think about it. Are you grateful enough? Today is the day to be humble, to be grateful, and even to people that you don't, sometimes you have this pride, like, he helped me, but I don't want to tell him that he helped me. No, admit to people that they've helped you. Say thank you to Hashem for what you have. And yes, also for the things, somebody said to me, I went to speak to a group of girls and I was talking to them about being grateful. And it's like, why do I have to think that I have parents? Why do I have to think that I have my hands? I don't have to thank Hashem for that. I said, that's not true. Of course you need to thank Hashem for the things that you have every day. And then I told them a story. I told them there was a little girl, that was taken to daycare one day, and she was not picked up by her mother. And the daycare called the grandmother, and she picked up this girl. And it was her granddaughter, so she stayed by her. And eventually the mother didn't come back. She ended up raising her. And I told them, what do you think this girl is feeling? Do you think she didn't have parents like you guys have, for example? And they're like, oh, she's probably angry. She's so miserable. And I told them, do you know who that girl is? So they said, no. I said, she's in front of you. It's me. And they couldn't believe it. I said, yes. Even though I did not grow up with my mother, my grandmother was amazing. My grandfather was amazing. They gave me a lot of tools. I had a good life. And I thank Hashem for putting me in a good home, in a place where I was cared for. So if you do have parents, thank Hashem for them, because there is a situation where you could not have parents. We take for granted having hands. I went to a wedding like a month ago. I was just standing there, and all of a sudden I'm looking down and I see a part of a crutch And I said to myself, oh my God, thank you, Hashem, for showing me this. That I should say thank you, that I have my hands and my legs, that I could stand here right now. I said, why did I have to see that? So I should be grateful. Nothing that we see is stam. There's a reason for it. And when we start being grateful for the little things, Hashem says, oh, you're grateful for this? Here, I'll give you something to really be grateful for. Live as if you have everything, because you do have everything you need to serve Hashem. And don't forget that we are here to serve Hashem. And people forget to get into the, oh, I need to buy a house, I need to pay the mortgage. No. You need to serve Hashem. And if you need to have a house in order to serve Hashem, He will give you the house and the mortgage and help you pay it. And if you don't, then you will be renting an apartment. And this is just how it is. And be happy for what you have. And when you are happy for what you have, that's being a gibor. That's having gvura. Sarah Blau has the book for children, right? She write. So they said. So there's one of the books says ani gibor, you know. And in the book, it says, what is a gibor? So I'm not going to do what I want today. We do what my brother wants to do today. You know, doing things that other people want because it's in the benefit of everyone. So it doesn't always have to go your way. And you should still be grateful to Hashem. You shouldn't only be grateful when you get what you want. And this is really the message. Go through the process. Make an effort. I'm doing it myself this year. I'm making an effort to understand what every day is about. So this year, when we receive the Torah, we really will have better tools. And we will see things that we haven't seen before. And then we will really be able to be grateful, because when you're really connecting to Hashem in every level possible, you see His greatness. And you're like, I can't believe this. I'm Hashem's child. And that's my message for us today.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Wow. I want to say thank you, because I can hear that you're speaking from your heart, and it's so meaningful.
Thank you.
That doesn't make you want to join this program. I don't know what does. That was incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's beautiful.
And I think in front of you, if you don't mind, I want to share the names of the beautiful and amazing women who did every single day reading, and they did at least one journal a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Are you up for this?
Of course I am. Come on.
We're going to celebrate the incredible, incredible women that worked so hard and that they worked on themselves for this. And tonight we are giving them 2 presents. So as I'm sure you guys know, at Living Chassidus, we are all about our presents and gifts. And these 2 presents are very meaningful and they represent a lot for a Lubavitcher. This is, has anyone heard of this? It's the entire chitas, mini, teeny, tiny, I don't know what it's called, the microfilm, thank you. The entire chitas, and as we know, chitas, having a chitas with you has a lot of protection. So for anyone who doesn't yet have, because we have these, we have a few left, and that way you can keep your chitas in your phone and you're always protected. You can also keep it in your wallet. So that is number 1, is your personal protection, your personal chitas. And gift number 2, this recently became publicized. Has anyone heard of these cards? No? In 5744, the Rebbe spoke, and I can share that with you, but the Rebbe spoke about these 2 prayers that will bring world peace and how it can truly change the entire world. So I wanted to share protection for you, and I wanted to share protection for the whole world. So these were reprinted, the original typeset that the Rebbe approved of at that time. They're reprinted by Tzivos Hashem, and you guys, it's also a sticker. So I think, if I remember correctly, in the Sikha, the Rebbe spoke about putting this in your siddur. Yeah, so.
You say, what do? You say that every day?
Well, yeah, it's a Tahirani and Achtadekim. So we do technically say them every day. But those 2 psukim are to bring peace to the world. So I want to celebrate Ariella Zuckerman, Yehuda's Hecht, Shulamit K, Bracha Zurkin, Sima Dashevsky, Esther Citrin, Callie Aronson, Ruta Cohen, Shelby Aronson, Esther Malka Cohen. Did I miss anyone? Ita Gurevich and Adina Lapine. Well, and I think that counts all of us. So,
Wow,
yay.
way to
Every
go!
single one of you. May you go from strength to strength. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys, Mitzvah Hashem, for SAI for bringing in 2 weeks. Not this coming Wednesday. This coming Wednesday is a different program. The Wednesday after that, and Mitzvah Hashem, we're gonna have Mrs. Rachi Pinson joining us. So can't wait to see you guys then.